welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Jessie and I aim to post new videos here on my channel every single week, taking you through my journey as I budget and try to pay off debt. I feel like it's been quite a while since I sat down and did a budget video. If you missed the news, we did not do a typical budget last week because we had to make an emergency trip out of town for funeral services for my husband's grandmother who passed away. She was a wonderful woman. She was 90 years old. She lived a long life, and we wanted to make sure that we honored her. So we didn't do a traditional budget. Everything, we just kind of went willy-nilly, did what we had to do. We were out of town for 5 days. There were some spending that happened on credit cards, but we're putting all of that behind us and moving forward with the budget for the second week in the month of August, which I'm very excited about. Very happy to be getting back to budgeting. So I have my budget planners in front of me. If you're not familiar, I use two different planning systems. I have an Erin Condren Deluxe Monthly Planner where I keep track of all of my transactions, which I'm going to flip to here. I also keep track of my budgeting goals, which I just posted a budget goals video on my channel earlier this week, so I will make sure to link that for you if you missed it, so you can see me talk about my goals for the month of August. And then here is where I keep track of our transactions. So I use a color coding system with these stickers here that I made for myself, and I just kind of put down everything in terms of bill paying, debt payments, eating out. If we eat out one day, that has a color coding sticker here. Miscellaneous, gasoline, groceries, and my personal spending. So I keep track of all of our spending here. And there's also some pages in here that I use as well for my own sort of personal budgeting. This I don't typically share with you guys. I put like confirmation numbers for payments made, account numbers, that sort of thing. So this is more private, but I do typically share this with you all when I'm going through and setting up my budget, as well as with my budget results videos, where I talk about, you know, how I actually did based on my budget. And then the other planner that I use is the Budget by Paycheck workbook from the Budget Mom. I have the printable version of this workbook, which I just print out the pages that I need from the workbook, and I put them in this disc bound system. These are Happy Planner rings. I use an arc punch to punch the pages, and that's how I kind of keep everything together. And this is where I do my basic week to week, paycheck to paycheck budgeting, and this is what we're going to be working in today. So first things first, I'm going to move my little bookmark. This is a Happy Planner branded bookmark that came in a set of Happy Planner accessories, and it works great here. And we are going to flip to paycheck number 2 in August. I already have a little bit written in here, so I think I'm actually going to make some changes to that, but we'll talk about that when we get there. For now, I'm going to get my bookmark in here, and I just sort of touched up my nails, so I just nicked them. That's okay. And we're going to pull in my pen, which is a Parkoo Eraseable pen, and we're going to get started setting up the budget for the paycheck my husband received on August 11th. Alright, so this is paycheck number 2. I do not share income details. My husband's not comfortable sharing his income with the world, and I respect that, so we don't talk about income totals, but we are going to get right into talking about bills and expenses. So the way that the Budget by Paycheck bill tracker is set up is everything is sectioned off into categories. So you have bills, envelopes, sinking funds, extra debt, and extra savings. So we're going to start out with bills, but under the bills category, I don't just write out our typical bills like electric bill or gas bill or whatever. I do include those things under bills, but I also include anything else that we are going to pay using our checking account or our debit card. So essentially, this money under bills is money that's going to be left in the bank. I pull out a lot of our pay categories in cash. Our cash envelopes come out in cash. Our sinking funds come out in cash. So under bills, I just write everything that's going to stay in the checking account and be paid through there. Hopefully that makes sense. So one of the things that we leave in our checking account and pay with our debit card is groceries. We typically do our grocery shopping rather, with the Walmart grocery pickup app. We just place the order, we pay with our debit card, and then we go and pick up the groceries. There's no cash exchanged that way. And using that service really helps me to stay on top of my budget. There's not a lot of impulse shopping that way, and I really enjoy the service. It's a completely free service, which is unique, I think, for a lot of the grocery stores. They're all kind of doing grocery pickup now, I think. All the larger chains and stuff, but I think Walmart is the only one that offers that service for no additional charge. So I really like it. I do have a coupon code in the description box if you guys are interested in trying Walmart's grocery pickup and you have not done so before. You can get, I think, $10 off your first order of $50 or more if you use my little link down below. And I will also get $10 off of an upcoming grocery order, supposedly, although the couple of people I've managed to refer, they've sent me coupon codes and they haven't worked. So I haven't heard of anybody having issues using my code and having that work, but my codes that I receive for doing referrals never seem to work for whatever reason. So I guess I don't really benefit too much, but still it's a great deal for you guys. So anyways, that was very long. I apologize. I'm going to be rambly in this video because I've missed talking to you guys. So for grocery, I'm only going to budget $100 this week. Typically, I budget $150 for groceries, and then I budget another $30 for household items. However, this week, I'm just going to combine grocery and household, and I'm only going to budget $100. We did a huge stock-up haul last week. Before we went to the funeral. We spent a ton of money buying a ton of groceries, and we still have a lot left. So I don't need to spend quite as much this week. And that's, since we combined grocery and household, that's actually it for the non-kind of bills expenses. So to figure out what bills we are going to pay this week, I look back at my deluxe monthly planner here, and I see what bills fall within this week. So, my husband got paid on the 11th, and we are going to take care of all of the bills that fall between this payday on the 11th and next payday on the 18th. So, that is Disney Plus, Hulu, and Boost Mobile. And it's also my truck payment you see down here in red. I consider that debt, so it is debt, of course. So it's in red. In addition to those bills, because they don't add up to be a whole lot, I'm going to pay a couple of next week's bills as well, just because I happen to have the extra income this week. Anytime that I can get a little bit ahead, I like to do that. And so in addition to those bills I talked about, I'm also going to pay State Farm, which is a minimum payment on a credit card, Amazon, which is also a minimum payment on a credit card, and our camper payment as well. So I'm going to pay like half of next week's bills in addition to this week. Like I said, if you happen to have the extra income and you can get yourself ahead, why not? So I'm going to go ahead and write those in here, starting with Disney Plus. Disney Plus, of course, being a streaming service, and also Hulu. I do have the bundle deal with Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN. However, when I first signed up for Disney Plus, I already had an existing Hulu account, so the way that they did it was they just charged me the difference for Disney Plus still giving me a discounted rate. So it's two separate line items on my budget, but I do pay the discounted price for having the bundle. Hopefully that makes sense. So whenever I am doing my bills, I always tend to round up what I think they're going to cost, just in case there's any added fees that happen to come up, or as a little bit of a buffer if I do my math wrong or whatever. So for Disney Plus, I'm going to budget $15, even though I know it's going to come in less than that. And for Hulu, I'm going to budget $10. Again, I know it's going to come in less unless something happens with the contract or whatever, but I want to have all my bases covered. So I highly recommend that you do that. Round your bills up if you can. Next up is Boost Mobile. This is the company that we have all of my family's cell phone service through. We have 4 lines, unlimited talk, text, data, and some hotspot capability, and we pay $130 a month. And I'm not actually going to round that one up. Thank you, honey. Yeah, so I'm not going to round that total up with these rounded up totals. I have a few dollars there, so I'm not worried about that. All right, next up we have my truck payment. So we are making payments on my truck, and that is $300 a month. It's actually a little bit less than that, but we always just pay $300. We rounded up what our monthly payment is. I think it's like $289 or something, and we just rounded up to $300, pay it off a little bit faster. Not too much extra progress, but every little bit helps. State Farm is a minimum payment for a credit card. The way that we handle credit cards is we pay the minimum payments to all of the cards except for the card with the lowest balance, and that is the card that we pay anything extra that we can to it to try to get it paid off. We're currently working on a Capital One card, which has less than $500 left on it. So once we get that one paid off, we'll be moving on to the next lowest card, and that's actually the State Farm card. So that'll be the next one that we tackle, I believe. So the minimum payment for the State Farm card is around $25. Again, I'm going to round it up to $30. Also, we have Amazon, which is, I believe, the credit card that we have the highest balance on. And it's also a card that we still frequently use, which we should not use. I try to pay anything that I put on that card immediately so that we're not adding to this balance. But Amazon is a tough one for me. I have a really hard time kind of breaking up with Amazon. It's so convenient. You know, you just click and everything arrives at your door in 2 days. So I really need to work on my Amazon spending for sure. It's been a process. I've definitely cut back on it. I just recently stopped all of my Amazon Subscribe and Save purchases, which were like household items that were coming every month. And that I think is going to help a lot, but Amazon's definitely my weakness, I think. So, for Amazon, we are budgeting $125 for that minimum payment. Yeah, it's a lot. And lastly, we have my camper payment. My husband and I are making payments on a camper that we use to camp all summer long. We purchased it a couple of years ago, and it's been the best investment. We absolutely love it. And we pay $200 a month for that. Very well worth the cost. So that is it for my bills and expenses this week. I'm going to go ahead and pull in my trusty calculator here, which I use on my phone. And I'm actually going to up this brightness so you guys can see it a little bit better. and we're going to add this up. So we have 100 plus 15 plus 10 plus 130 plus 300 plus 30 plus 125 plus 200. So we have $910 in bills and expenses this week. At least bills and expenses that we're paying with our checking account. So next we move on to cash envelopes. There are certain categories in our budget that we like to have cash for. We just prefer to spend cash. It's more tangible. It's easier for me to see. I started out with $40. I've spent $30. I only have 10 left, and I've got that 10 in my wallet. It's like a mind game with me. I really enjoy working with cash. We are in a coin shortage right now, and with everything going on, we're not using cash as much, but I still like having the cash. So a lot of times I'll pull the cash, I'll put them in my envelopes, which you will see a cash envelope stuffing video coming later this week. And then if we can't use cash because of the coin shortage or because we aren't going places as much, we will just use our debit card or one of the credit cards that we use and pay off every single month and make that purchase. And I will take that cash from the envelope and transfer it to a envelope that is labeled to bank, and then I'll just take that money to the bank to cover the purchase. That is kind of gives me the opportunity to still use cash and have that tangible cash in my hand without physically having to hand the cash to a teller when they're not accepting cash. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I've been handling it. So our cash envelope categories are my husband's spending. He gets $40 a week. Sometimes he gets $60 on the weeks when he is on call and working on the weekends. He gets $60, but he's not on call this week, so just $40. My personal spending, which is also $40. We have miscellaneous, which is just an all-encompassing category for anything else that we happen to need throughout the week that I didn't think to budget for, and I just budget $50 for that. So it's sort of like a buffer almost. Inevitably, every single week something comes up that I didn't plan for, and that's where this miscellaneous category comes in. That pretty much always covers it. Next we have eating out. I do like to give us some eating out money every single week. We are not gazelle intense, as Dave Ramsey would say. We are still trying to enjoy our life while also paying down debt. So we do give ourselves eating out money every week in the $50 range. It is one of my goals to eat out less this month. So hopefully we won't be using this full $50 this week, but I want to have it just in case. So it's there. And lastly, we have gas. So the way that we do gas is we budget $50 a week in gas. And, you know, if we need that full $50 in the tank, then we go ahead and put it in the tank. We have 2 vehicles that we drive on a regular basis. It is my F-250 Super Duty and my son's little Saturn Ion. So $50 covers gas for both of those. But if we have a week where we spend less in gas, obviously we're not going as many places. So if we find that we don't need this full $50, we take whatever's left and we put it into a sinking fund to carry us over for another week when maybe we need more gas. And this actually really saved us when we had to go out of town for Eric's grandmother's funeral. We had almost $200 in gas money that we had saved up into a sinking fund, and that is what we were able to use to get us up to Mayo where the funeral was, and we didn't have to, you know, pull that money for that gas out of an emergency fund or use a credit card for it. We already had it there. So our gas fund is currently empty, but we were very, very grateful that we had that. So, yeah. that's that. All right, let's add this up because that is all of our cash categories, and this video is getting really, really long. So we've got 40 plus 40 plus 50 plus 50 plus 50, $230 in our envelopes. All right, now we're moving into sinking funds. If you're not familiar with sinking funds, they are a great way to save money for things that you know are coming, but they don't necessarily happen every week or even every month. We save a little bit throughout the year for things that we know are coming up. Things like Christmas that happen every year, car tags that have to be renewed every year, that sort of thing. And we just save a little bit up here and there so that when those large expenses come up, we have the money for them and we don't have to take it out of our weekly budget. So the first of the sinking funds we are going to fill is our Campground sinking fund. I talked to you guys earlier in the video about our camper. We have our camper on an annual campsite. We pay an annual fee for it. It stays there all year round, for the most part, unless we decide to take it out of there for a weekend trip. For example, when we went for the funeral, we took our camper with us and we were able to stay really affordably up near where the funeral services were held. So that was another great way that we were able to save a little bit of money throughout that whole scenario. But anyways, we pay the annual campground fee every October. It's around $1,300. So we save up a little bit throughout the year so that when that rolls around, we don't have to scramble for that money. And we are saving $50 towards our campground this week. Next up is our home insurance. We do pay our home insurance annually. And so again, we just save up a little bit every month towards that so that when that bill comes due, we have that money. And we're saving $75 towards that. And lastly, we have Christmas. And we are saving $25 to our Christmas fund. We have a lot of other sinking funds. Probably a dozen sinking funds, but we don't actively save for all of them every week. We just kind of pick and choose the ones that are most important to us this week, and those are the 3 that we're focusing on this week. So we'll add those totals up. 50 plus 75 plus 25 is 150. Next up, we have our extra debt category, and this is where our debt snowball comes in. So as we have paid off our credit cards over the last couple of years, really the last 8 months or so, we've been really focusing on it again. We have taken all of the minimum payments of those cards and added those to our debt snowball. So every single week, we, at this point, are sending $128 extra to our lowest credit card, which is the Capital One card, to pay it off. And then once that credit card is paid off, we will take the minimum payment for that card and we will add it to this amount. Well, we'll divide that minimum payment by 4 because it's a monthly payment and we like to pay our debt weekly. And we'll add that quarter of it to this payment, and this payment will go up and we'll send even more to the next card on the list every single week. That's sort of how the debt snowball works. That's a Dave Ramsey thing. You can definitely type debt snowball into the YouTube search bar and you'll get dozens of videos on it that can explain it better than me. But that is what we have decided to do. So we're going to pay $128 to our debt this week, which is very exciting. So lastly, we have our extra savings. And I have Savopoly written in here, which is a savings challenge that I have been doing. It's sort of like a Monopoly board. It's a printable that I found. I paid like $3 for it, printed it out. And every week you're supposed to roll a dice and go around this little board, and the property that you land on correlates with how much money you save this week. I did this. I put in all of the weekly amounts when I set up my August budget, but I'm actually not going to do Savopoly this month. I just decided I want to take a break from it, and I want to be a little bit Oh, sorry, my whole camera rig's shaking while I'm erasing, you guys. I want to be a little bit more aggressive with my extra savings. Our extra savings is also something that helped us a lot when we were getting ready to go to this funeral. We were able to, you know, pull from our extra savings, and I really liked having that. So I'm still going to save extra, but I'm just going to save $50 instead of the $33. So I don't know if I'll go back to Savopoly. I may. But for now, I just want to kind of bulk up my savings a little bit more. We drained it pretty significantly, so I just decided we're going to do $50 this week. So that is a look at my budget. This is everything that we are going to take care of this week with our income. Very, very exciting. The only other thing that we need to do here is do our cash envelope breakdown, which is the other page from the Budget by Paycheck workbook that I use. Really, those are the only 2 pages that I use from that workbook, but they work out great for me. So this is the paycheck we received on August 11th. So what I'm going to do is transfer all of the categories from here that I pull out in cash. So everything under envelopes, sinking funds, and savings. And I'm also going to write out their amounts. And then we're going to go through and break down what the denominations are that we need for each category so that I can go to the bank, pull out the cash, and then I'll be back later this week for my cash envelope stuffing video. So let me go ahead off camera really quickly and fill in these categories and their amounts, and then we'll do the cash breakdown together. Alright, you guys, so I have all of my categories written in as well as the amounts, and now we're going to go ahead and do the cash breakdown. So for my husband's spending, he likes to take 20s. So he's going to get $40, and I'm going to break that down as 2 20s. Myself, I like to break it down a little bit further than that. So I'm going to do a 20 and 2 10s. I just like to have smaller denominations. Like I said, with the coin shortage right now, it's better to have exact change. So there's that. For miscellaneous, we're going to do 50. We're going to do 2 20s and a 10. Eating out, I really like to break down quite a bit. That way, if we get delivery, we have smaller bills to do a tip. Also, again, with the exact change and the coin shortage. So I'm going to do a 20, 2 10s, a 5, and 5 1s for that. For gas, we're going to do a 20 and 3 10s. And now the rest of these are sinking funds. It's not cash that we're going to have to spend necessarily right away. So I'm more comfortable doing larger bills in these cases. So for Campground, I'm just going to take out a 50. For home insurance, I'm going to take a 50, a 20, and a 5. For Christmas, we're going to take a 20 and a 5. And for savings, we're going to take a 50. And so all I have to do now is kind of add everything up. So we have 5 1s. So I'm going to bring this down to the bottom. There you go. You can see that. And that's $5. 1, 2, 3 5s is $15. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 10s is $80. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 20s is $180. And 3 50s is $150. And now I'm just going to add these numbers up here and make sure that they add up to my total. Make sure I didn't make any mistakes. So 5 plus 15 plus 80 plus 180 plus 150 is 430. My totals match up, and that means that I am all set. So now I'm going to pull out one of my cash teller slips These are also from the Budget Mom. I purchased these from her website and had them shipped to me. They're super handy. You can just fill in your quantities and your total value and hand this to your bank teller, and it makes it super easy to get all the denominations you need without having to sit there and kind of list them all and make mistakes and that sort of thing. So I'm just going to transfer this information here. And then I will take this teller slip to the bank. I will get out the cash that I need, and then I will be back at the end of the week to do my cash envelope stuffing video, which is my favorite, and I think it's all of your favorites too. You guys will have to let me know, what is your favorite budget video to watch? Alright you guys, that is going to do it for my August week 2 budget setup. I'm very, very excited to start this week out on a positive note, make some traction towards my budget goals. So if you enjoyed this video, I hope that you will give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know how your August budget is doing. I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. You're definitely going to want to come back for my other budget content as well as my other lifestyle videos. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!